Oh, what's good, my fellow conservative patriots? It's your boy, Kevin. Welcome back to the channel. Riley Gaines is a complete badass. If you don't know who Riley Gaines is, she was a women's collegiate swimmer. Really top-notch swimmer. Heading into her senior year, she was busting her ass, working out hard, because she had the potential, the opportunity to possibly win a collegiate championship in swimming at the University of Kentucky. So, she is swimming her senior year, and all of a sudden, she starts to notice this random person climbing up the leaderboards. And that's odd for a sport like swimming. She knew who the usual suspects were. The other competitive swimmers who she was competing with, she had a relationship with. So it was very odd to her to see this random person who she had never heard of climbing the ranks and posting really competitive times. So she does a little digging, does a little research, and comes to the conclusion that Lia Thomas, the person who is climbing up the ranks out of nowhere, is actually Will Thomas. And it gets even worse as at the NCAA championships, Riley Gaines ties Lia Thomas or Will Thomas, and the NCAAs give the trophy to Will Thomas. They say it's a historical moment. We have to give the trophy to Will Thomas because a dude competing in women's sports and tying a woman, a true biological woman, for some reason is a historic moment, and they wanted the media attention and the photograph of giving Will Thomas, a dude, the women's trophy.
I started swimming at the age of 4. I'm 22 now, so I dedicated 18 years of my life to swimming. And so my senior year, I had made it my goal to win a national championship. Middle of our season, all of a sudden, this person, Lia Thomas, comes out of nowhere, posting the fastest times in the nation by multiple seconds. Never once did it occur to me that this could be a male, until, of course, an article was posted saying that Lia Thomas was formerly Will Thomas and swam 3 years on the men's team at University of Pennsylvania. Day of competition, both qualified for finals, top 8. Almost impossibly enough, we tied. So I go behind the podium and the official looks at me and Lia. He says, "We don't really account for ties." So Lia takes the trophy. And I said, "Okay, well, why are you giving this trophy to Lia?" And he kind of stumbled, but he said, "Well, Lia has to take the trophy home because Lia has to have it for pictures." And so that's truthfully when I was done waiting for someone else to stick up for us, because I thought someone who is supposed to be protecting us would protect us.
Understand how big of a badass you have to be to compete with a dude when you're a woman, okay? In 2017, the U.S. women's national soccer team was preparing to compete in the World Cup. So they go down to Texas and they play an under 15 boys team in a scrimmage. What do you think happens? The women's national team, the best women's soccer players in the world, competing against an under 15 boys squad. What happens? The women's team loses 5-2. It wasn't even competitive. Why? Because men are better athletes. Men are better athletes. It's just a fact. They have biological advantages.
Men's tennis and women's tennis are completely almost two separate sports. So I'm like, if I were to play Andy Murray, I would lose 6-0, 6-0 in 5 to 6 minutes, maybe. It's a completely different sport. The men are a lot faster, and they serve harder, they hit hard. It's just a different game. And I only want to play girls because I don't want to be embarrassed.
Riley Gaines is not stupid. She knows this. She knows she was cheated out of the potential of winning a collegiate championship after dedicating her life to swimming and getting better and honing her craft. She was cheated. So what does she do? She doesn't cry about it. She doesn't give up. She has been going around at different colleges, universities, and speaking on the behalf of young girls. Yesterday, she was at San Francisco State University, right in the heart of the lion's den, so to speak, and she was giving a speech. There should be discourse, there should be conversation, there should be debate. But the left does not want debate. If you're wrong, they want to attack you. If they're wrong, they want to shout you down because they have no argument. Obviously, the common sense side of the aisle is women should compete against women, dudes compete against dudes. Their argument is flawed. So the only thing they can do is attack, yell, scream, and cry bloody murder. And that's exactly what they did to Riley yesterday at the University of San Francisco State. Let's take a look at what happened. She was giving a talk, peaceful talk, willing to debate the opposition, but they don't want to debate.
Are you ready?
You hear him saying, why are you running? Why are you running? A bunch of crazed lunatics chasing after you. You're a young 22-year-old little girl getting chased by a bunch of crazed whack jobs. Drag rights are human rights. Trans rights are human rights. And I agree with that. This may shock some of you guys. I agree with that. If you're trans, you have human rights. I don't disagree that you have human rights. But competing against women in sports is not a human right. Being protected, not getting assaulted, not being a victim is a human right. Being trans and competing in women's sports is not a human right. There is nothing about competing in women's sports that correlates with a human right. A human right is not getting killed. A human right is having the opportunity to live in freedom, right? Not competing in women's sports. So they chase her through this hallway and she gets barricaded into a classroom, it looks like. But if you notice, it looks like somebody has pulled a fire alarm. There's probably 30 or 40 people chasing her down this hallway. It's really sick shit that went on yesterday at this college. Fucking transphobic bitch. This psychopath right here. Take a look. If this person is a student at this university, she should be expelled immediately. They, them needs to go. That is a problem.
Trans rights are human rights! Trans rights are human rights! Trans rights are human rights! Trans rights are human rights!
See, instead of debating, having discourse, having a conversation in a debate, people like this right here cannot do that. They do not have the intellectual aptitude to debate you. They do not have the intellectual ability. All they can do is yell their opinion, which is wrong, as loud as they can because they know they're wrong. They know common sense is against them, and that's a problem. So they just scream, 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 and if screaming doesn't work, then they tend to get physical, which is what happened here. So obviously Riley was crying, and this psychopath in the corner was assaulting her, making fun of her for crying. She was just beaten up by a trans man in the classroom. She didn't get it on camera, but supposedly a dude, a man in a dress, punched her and assaulted her. How sick is that? You go to a college to try to express your opinion, which is scary in itself. Going into a classroom with a bunch of people who don't agree with you and trying to have a debate, trying to have open discourse, and you get assaulted by a man in a dress. Louis Baker, Riley's husband, said he had brief conversations with her while she was barricaded in the room for nearly 3 hours. That would be shitting in your pants scary, to be barricaded in a room with a bunch of whacked out woke leftist animals trying to get in the room. You're barricaded in there and they're trying to beat down that door. She told me she was hit multiple times by a guy in a dress. I was shaking. It made me that mad. It makes me sick to feel so helpless about it, Baker said. She was under police protection and was still hit by a man wearing a dress. Yeah, in that video, the police looked like there was about 6 or 7 of them down the end of that hallway, and they really weren't doing much. I'm not sure what was going on there. They're probably scared that if they had stepped in, they were going to lose their job. It's just a really sad situation where our country is headed, and this just highlights where we're at today. On Twitter, Gaines shared footage she took showing her being rushed out of the venue by police officers amid an onslaught of verbal attacks from the detractors who surrounded her. She tweeted, "The prisoners are running the asylum at San Francisco State University. I was ambushed and physically hit twice by a man. This is proof that women need sex-protected spaces." i.e. women's locker rooms, i.e. women's sports. Dudes have an advantage. If a 15 and under boys soccer team can beat the women's national team 5-2, it is a joke. Women have a disadvantage. Men are bigger, stronger, faster, and better at sports. And that is why women's sports need to be women only. It's not rocket science. Look at Lia Thomas. Lia Thomas compared to Riley Gaines. Lia Thomas is giant. Born a man, has an advantage. I don't care how much estrogen you take. If you're born a dude, you have an advantage. Steve Will Do It, who is a hilarious influencer who was kicked off social media for whatever reason, he highlighted this in a recent skit that he did where he took a note out of Donald Trump's playbook.
I'd be the greatest women's basketball coach in history. And I'd go up to LeBron James, it doesn't matter. I'd say, LeBron, did you ever have any desire to be a woman? Because what I'd love you to do is star on my team that I'm building up. I will have the greatest team in history. They'll never lose.
That's when I got the idea of doing a skit. I'm the coach. I'm down 60 points and there's no way of coming back. That's when I call the 6'5" black guy that identifies as a female. It's going to be Key and Peele type skit. It's going to be hilarious.
And that's exactly what he did. And he brings in the dude, and the dude dominates.
What is this? What, you guys transphobic? Transphobic! You guys are bigots! 2023, LGBT! We're gonna allow it. Let's go. This is we're gonna allow it. We're gonna allow it. Female! What is this? You're gonna allow this? Yeah. Are you serious? Prove she's not a woman.
She's got a mustache!
You got a mustache!
She's got a mustache.
Let's go! Warm up! Don't worry about him. Don't worry about him.
All right, so obviously we know how that game ends, and it's obviously a joke, but it highlights how big of a joke this argument is. If I was a women's basketball coach, a women's collegiate basketball coach, I would be looking at average high school men's basketball players and saying, hey, you want a full scholarship? Come play at my university. And that's where this has to go in order for it to get fixed. It has to get so ridiculous that all of America sees how ridiculous it is, says, wait a second, we got a problem here, and this problem needs to be fixed. And it's really a simple solution. The solution is you're born a woman, you're born a girl, you compete in women's sports. You're born a man, you compete in men's sports. It's not rocket science. It's not complicated. It's not advanced algebra. It's very, very simple. If you're a man, you compete in men's sports. You're a woman, you compete in women's sports. And it's really sad that we can't have that debate. And Riley Gaines going to that university yesterday and getting assaulted, getting attacked, highlights where we are as a country. There is no discourse, there is no debate because the left will attack you. They know they're wrong, and the only way they can prevent a debate is doing what happened yesterday. Yelling louder, screaming louder, and when screaming can't shut you up, they will get physical. And we can't stand for it. We got to continue to voice our opinion because our opinion is right. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you're new around here, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. This is a new channel, trying to get it off the floor, trying to get it going. So please hit the like button and subscribe if you don't mind. Love you guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Until next time, peace.